Ever wonder why it's so hard for teens to put down their phones? Is it really just a lack of self-control, or is there something much, much deeper happening inside their brains? Okay, let's dive into this because the science behind social media's grip on our mental health is frankly both fascinating and incredibly important. So let's start with just how big of a deal this is. Take a look at this number. Recent studies show that nearly 1 in 4 adolescents, that's 24.4%, shows signs of what researchers now call social media addiction. And let's be clear, this isn't just a bad habit. We're talking about a widespread, compulsive pattern that's impacting an entire generation. So this brings us to the core question, right? Are we just looking at a massive collective failure of willpower? Or is something else at play here? Something happening on a neurological level that makes these platforms almost impossible to resist? Well, the evidence is pointing pretty strongly to that second one. To really understand what's going on, we have to look under the hood, at the brain's internal wiring. We're going to explore the chemistry of rewards and how social media apps are expertly, and I mean expertly, designed to tap right into it. Okay, so meet the main character in our story, dopamine. This chemical is basically the engine of your brain's reward system. Think of it as the reward highway. Now, its fancy name is the mesolimbic dopaminergic pathway, but all you really need to know is its job is to make you feel good when you do things that are good for survival, like eating or socializing. It's what motivates you to do those things again and again. So how does that ancient system get hijacked by our phones? Well, this slide shows the cycle perfectly. A notification buzzes, you get a like, and boom, your brain releases a little hit of dopamine. This creates a powerful, repeating loop. Your brain quickly learns that the phone is a reliable source of that feel-good chemical hit, which just makes you want to keep coming back for more. We can actually break that cycle down even further into what scientists call a compulsion loop. It starts with a cue, that buzz in your pocket. That triggers a craving as your brain starts anticipating a reward. Then you have the response. You check your phone. And finally, the reward itself, a like, a comment, a new post. But there's one last crucial piece that makes this whole loop so powerful. And that final piece is unpredictability. It's just like a slot machine. You never know when the reward will show up or how big it will be. This variable reward schedule, as it's called, makes the behavior way more compulsive. The source material compares it directly to the exact same mechanisms that drive drug use and gambling. And that comparison, it isn't just a clever analogy. There are actual striking neurobiological similarities here. Both compulsive social media use and substance addiction are linked to dysfunction in the exact same part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, the part that's in charge of impulse control and making good decisions. This proves we are talking about a genuine physical impact on the brain. So we've seen what's happening inside the brain. Now let's see how that creates a domino effect with some very real-world consequences. When the brain's reward system is constantly being pinged like this, it can mess with everything from your self-esteem to your ability to focus. One of the most startling consequences is a phenomenon that plastic surgeons have actually named Snapchat dysmorphia. This is where people seek out cosmetic procedures not to look like a celebrity, but to look like their own filtered, digitally perfect selfies. It's a powerful and pretty unsettling example of how these curated online images can totally warp how we see ourselves. And at the same time, look at this trend. Between 1997 and 2022, diagnosed ADHD in American youth has risen dramatically. Now, sure, lots of factors are at play here, but researchers are pointing to a major link between increased screen time, especially that super fast-paced content, and making ADHD symptoms like impulsivity and inattention even worse. The data here is just crystal clear. Study after study shows that teens who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media are at a significantly higher risk for mental health issues like anxiety and depression compared to those who spend less time online. It really comes down to that old saying, the dose makes the poison. And of course, we can't talk about the dark side of social media without talking about cyberbullying. The anonymity of the internet can fuel this aggressive harassment that feels completely inescapable. And the psychological toll is severe. We're talking about diminished self-esteem, social withdrawal, feeling totally powerless, and in the most tragic cases, an increased risk of self-harm. Now, I know this all sounds pretty bleak, but it's not the end of the story. The good news is that as our understanding of the problem grows, so does our ability to find effective solutions. So let's explore the toolkit that's being built to help manage these risks. First thing to know, there is no single magic bullet. The most effective approach is one that hits the problem from all sides. We're talking everything from specialized therapy and digital detoxes to better parental guidance, school programs, and even tech solutions like smarter AI. One of the most promising tools is a specialized kind of therapy called CBT-IA, or Cognitive Behavioral Therapy for Internet Addiction. It's basically designed to help people challenge the thoughts that drive that compulsive use and build healthier habits instead. And the results are amazing. One major study showed that over 95% of clients were able to manage their symptoms by the end of the program. That's huge. Another powerful tool is the digital detox. So, why does it work? Well, the chronic stress from social media can put your body's main stress response system, called the HPA axis, into overdrive, constantly pumping out stress hormones. Stepping away from the platforms for a bit gives that system a chance to just reset and calm down. And research shows that even a short detox can lead to a big drop in depressive symptoms. And of course, parents and schools play a vital role here. It's not just about setting screen time limits, it's about combining those controls with open, honest conversations about the risks online. At the same time, schools can run programs that teach social and emotional skills, basically giving students the tools they need to navigate the digital world safely and build up their own resilience. So this brings us to the big picture. We've looked at the brain science, we've seen the real-world consequences, and we've explored the solutions. But what does this all mean for the digital future that we're all a part of? And that really is the question for all of us, isn't it? As the lines between our online and offline lives continue to just dissolve, we have to ask ourselves, what new rules do we need? What new social norms, what new responsibilities do we have to adopt to protect the mental health of the next generation? It's a huge conversation, and it's